What are the differences between developing a disability as an adult versus having one at a young age?
And what's it like being a parent with a child with a disability?
This is Enable, the Disability Podcast, where we'll share stories, experiences, support, resources, and more for people with disabilities and different abilities. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. My name is Deaf Jeff Herbert.
And my name is Kurt Hower, and here with us today we're talking with Josh, whose life changed with a spinal cord injury. And he is the parent of a child with autism. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you both for having me.
Josh, please start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the mobility issues that you've faced in recent years.
My journey with my mobility issues for myself started about 2.5 years ago. I was diagnosed with a spinal tumor in my T8, T9 level of my spinal cord, which is basically, right in the middle of the spinal cord. So that was removed in March of 23. And after that surgery, I actually began my journey with no feeling below my waist at all. My recovery started in Schenectady, New York at Sunnyview Rehab Center. And by working with those folks there through PT and OT for about 6 weeks, when I left Sunnyview, I had already started to get up onto a walker a bit, and my left leg mobility started to come back pretty good. But I started out in a wheelchair when I got home, and through 2 years of PT over the last 2 years with a lot of physical therapy, a lot of support at home, I am now up and walking on forearm crutches. My left leg is back to a pretty good spot. My right leg, unfortunately, still I have no feeling in my right leg, other than I can kind of feel when I walk a bit. I can feel some impact. I can feel some muscles and things like that. But if you touch my right leg, I still have no feeling there. I have no ankle movement either in that right leg, so I wear what's called a ankle foot orthotic brace, and that keeps my ankle and foot nice and secure so that I'm able to walk and stand for longer periods of time. I still have the wheelchair here. I don't use it regularly. Thankfully, I'm able to walk and stand for longer periods of time. I use it when I have to go longer distances or go someplace where I might have to stand for a little bit longer and I may not be able to, for like a concert or something like that. I'll bring the wheelchair with me. As far as my recovery goes, the long-term goal is, of course, to walk freely again. But there's really no timetable with my particular injury. I just have to, keep putting work in every day. And right now, my immediate goal is to walk with only one crutch instead of two. So that's kind of where my recovery is at this point.
Good for you. I like goals. I like goals. So
I have to set them, otherwise things can remain stagnant. So
good for you. Good for you, Josh. Well, tell us a little bit more about your son and when was he diagnosed with autism and what kind of impact did that have on your family?
he was diagnosed at age 3. But Finnegan began in early intervention at the age of 2, where we had noticed some things, and we had brought it up with a pediatrician. We had noticed a little bit of a speech delay. He was kind of walking in patterns and doing what we now know as stimming. And he was doing that at an early age, around 2. So he got evaluated then, and he got early intervention, occupational therapy, and speech language services. And he was officially diagnosed at the age of 3. And the impact on our family was, I mean, it was a big impact. We knew in some way that the diagnosis was coming throughout the early intervention. At first, even though we anticipated getting the diagnosis, it still was a bit of a shock at first. And there was a little bit of a period of sadness, I'll say. And it wasn't really sadness as far as, oh no, what's happened to him. It was more of a sadness and kind of a realization of, okay, now we know that his life is going to be a little different. Our life will be a little different, and it's going to be, just a little bit harder for him. So it really was more of, just kind of that feeling for your child at that point. So we kind of gave ourselves a couple of weeks, my wife and I, to feel anything. and everything. We were told that that was healthy and that worked, and then we just really started to collect as much information as possible and really just kind of dig into it and make sure that we started that process of advocating for him and making sure that he had everything he needed, learning, and really letting him teach us about what he needed.
My grandson is he's neurodiverse, and I know about stimming, but we're early in our journey. But one of the things I know about him is he also has some special abilities that we've picked up on. And I'm curious to hear about your son and what are his special abilities.
Yeah, we call Finn human GPS.
That's cool.
So he has a couple of things that he is very good at, just kind of remembering anything. So if we were to go somewhere on a vacation, for example, he will be able to pick up his iPad, pick up Google Maps, and just find it based on where he thinks it is, without knowing how to get there necessarily. We went to this happened a couple weeks ago. We went someplace once, and it was out of state, and he just picked up his iPad and he's like, "Dad, here it is. This is where we were." And he knows where it is. So he knows world landmarks. He knows our vacation spots. If we're driving somewhere, he will inevitably say, "Mommy, take a left." He will just know exactly where it is. And one fun thing that we test him on, just for kind of for smiles, and his friends and our friends do it too, is if you tell him what your birthday is, he'll remember it for the rest of his life. And he will not see you for 2 years and say, "Hey, your birthday is August 5th." And he'll remember. And friends of ours will come up to us, neighbors. In fact, it happened with a neighbor's friend the other day. He hadn't seen the kid in 6 months. It's like, "Hey, your birthday's coming up." And he said, "Finn, how did you know that?" And because you told me. It was like 2 years ago that you told me, but I know what it is.
That's awesome.
But he is an incredibly special young man.
Great. Well, with this podcast, one of our goals is to share information and to help others. So, curious, just what kind of resources or accommodations do you use for your son?
The biggest thing that he uses every day is he does have ear defender headphones. So he uses those to help him process the noise around him. The way that it's been explained to us is how his brain intakes sounds around him is everything is basically at the same volume. So whether it's birds outside or a coffee maker going inside, everything is kind of at the same volume. So he uses those headphones to differentiate and process what he needs to process. He is getting to a point now in school where they're letting him try to, take them off when he's in the hallway, things like that, just to kind of see how he does. And we've noticed certain things around the house where he doesn't need to have them anymore. So he's learning how to cope and process. He also uses things like chewies. He has an oral sensory processing where he uses kind of a very firm, like a chewy, to really process what's going on. And if he's feeling anxiety or if he's overloaded a little bit, he'll use that to really just kind of regulate himself and process what's going on. We also have a couple of sensory swings around the house. There was one in his bedroom for a time. There's one downstairs where he just kind of gets to sit in that for a bit and just regulate himself a little bit. So he has a couple of those that he uses day to day. But the biggest thing that he's had consistently is, and we have to praise our school district here, he has a one-on-one aide with him in school all day long, and he's also in an inclusive classroom. So he is one of 3 or 4 kids in that classroom that have an IEP, an individual education program, and they work in conjunction with the general education. For instance, this year he's in 4th grade, so the 4th grade teacher is in the class, and the special education teachers in the class also. And he gets OT and PT and speech language services there. So as far as resources go, his school district has been one of the biggest resources for him.
Good, outstanding.
That's great that you've got so many options and support for him. As a parent, though, whether you have a disability or not, is sometimes challenging just in general as a parent because there's no guidebook. And You have a unique situation as a parent with a disability. Has that made or led to any unique challenges as a parent of a child with autism?
Yes. So for me in particular, it's the times when him and I are one on one. He is an active child. He loves to go out and do things, loves to, hit the playgrounds, go to the store, things like that. And these are a lot of things that we would do, him and I together, prior to my disability. So my mobility, or lack of mobility is a factor, especially when we're in public, him and I. So if, for example, if we're at the grocery store or if we're at a playground, it's kind of my mobility along with his sensory processing, his needs that he has to meet. So we both have needs that we have to meet in those situations. So it's a little bit challenging, for him and I to go somewhere just the two of us that's kind of out in the open, because he has a tendency to do what's called a lope. So if he gets overloaded, if he gets a sensory overload, he has a moment where he has like a fight or flight response to something. He has a tendency to flee that situation. And if I am somewhere now with him and he has one of those moments, I unfortunately can't, run after him and, help calm him down as quickly as I used to be able to, even if I'm in the wheelchair, for example. So we get creative, him and I, when we're together. We take a lot of drives, we do a lot of things around the house, and we, take a lot more, if we're going out to like a playground or anything like that. It's a lot more, family oriented, where the three of us will be together. So somebody is able to kind of be with him if his needs need to be met at a kind of a quicker pace, I'll say. So I do, however, really have to praise him for how he has handled my situation, because for children who are autistic, consistency is extremely important, and that's been a driving factor in his development, is the consistency of the day. Things are the same, there's a routine to it, and nothing threw a wrench in the routine more so than my disability when it came up. And that's not just for him and myself, it's for everybody, in the house. So the way that he adjusted to this, you mentioned, what are some special traits about him earlier. I have to mention that his empathy is one of his biggest attributes. He is the most empathetic person, not just child, but the most empathetic person I've ever met. He was able to not only adjust to me having this disability, but actually want to help. When he found out that, dad now goes to PT and OT just like him, he thought that was pretty cool. So he all of a sudden wanted to help around the house. For a time, when I was on a walker, I had what's called a gait belt, so my wife could kind of hold on to me as I was moving, just in case was falling or anything like that. And it got to a point where he was holding that. So just the way that he's able to adjust and know that, we need to hold the door for dad, or we need to, go get the crutches for dad, or anything like that. So he has really taken that on over the past few years, and he's just been an incredible partner in the journey, honestly. So
That flight or fight or flight response is scary.
it is.
We just went through that with our little guy last night. And again, we have a two-lane highway out in front of my daughter's home. And, he's ready to run out on the highway. So I know I empathize with you. That's tough. And thank you for sharing.
Sure. We actually, you mentioned resources. We had just we just got him off of this year. He had for a few years something called an Angel Sense, and that is it's kind of a GPS device it's designed for people who are autistic, elderly folks, with dementia or Alzheimer's, where it's something that magnetically clips onto, a backpack or a pants pocket, and we have the app on our phone, so we were able to see, and we were able to get alerts. Finn has arrived at school, Finn has left school, Finn's arrived at home, Finn's arrived at grandma and grandpa's house. So if there was a point where that was a problem, where, if and we live very close to our school, it's just down the road, so he knows where home is, he knows how to get home from the playground. So that was a concern for a bit. Thankfully we never really had to use it for that reason. He did very well, but it was a resource that we had for a few years that was very helpful and a peace of mind. And right now he is without it at this point, so he's really coping with that very well.
Awesome. This is Enable the Disability Podcast. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We love to share different stories because even when it feels like it, you're not alone. We're not defined solely by the things we can't do when there's so many things we can do.
Yeah, Josh, I guess what we'd like to hear a little bit more about is what your life is like outside of work, and what are some of the fun things you like to do and do with your family.
Oh boy, so I mean that part has definitely changed since the disability. I'm It's been interesting the past couple of years trying to find those things that I can still do versus what I have to adjust and do. I mean, as a whole, when I'm in my own personal time, I love music. I play guitar. I'm always listening to music. I enjoy watching sports. I enjoy cooking. Those things kind of by myself. I have a goal now that I am in PT and I'm walking a lot more and I'm developing more strength and walking endurance. I have a goal that I've set for myself to walk a 5K next year. So I'm building that up as I go every month, just kind of adding a quarter mile here and there. I'm up to a little bit over a mile right now that I'm able to walk at a time. So I do that a couple times a week. As far as our family, we really do everything together. We have a very close family. My wife and I, and our son. We love to go on vacations. We love Cape Cod. We try to go to Cape Cod every year. My wife and I enjoy the movies. Enjoy going for coffee dates. Things like that. And especially in the last couple of years, since I've been a little bit more stationary at home. I've enjoyed getting into birding by proxy, actually, because that's one of my wife's favorite hobbies. So that's something that I now enjoy as well. She's kind of gotten me into that a little bit, so we enjoy that together. But one thing that's been nice this year for me is this past year. Actually, it was about a year ago in July. I was able to start driving again. So one thing that I have is I have a left-footed pedal in our car that it is a device that clips into the bottom of the car and renders the actual gas pedal, puts like kind of a plate over it so you can't hit it with your right foot. And I drive with my left foot. So when I press the gas and the brake are is reversed. So the brake is still in the middle, but now the gas is on the left side of me. So I press that left-footed pedal and then it presses the actual accelerator. So I'm able to drive again. So it's been nice to have that independence. So, so it's, something that I might have not wanted to do a couple years ago, I will do now. Like, oh, we need that at Wegmans. I'll go. Kind of a thing. So because it's nice to have that independence and be able to do that. So it's been interesting. Interesting life as far as getting back to the things that I enjoy. But it's been a nice kind of interesting. It's been fun to explore a little bit.
That's awesome. You've made so much progress, and I love all the ways that you've adapted and your family's adapted as well. I would never even thought about, a left gas pedal, but that's fantastic. When you do go out, are there still challenges that your family experiences?
Yeah, the accessibility factor is a big one. We learned very quickly. I mean, of course we learned this with Finnegan. How the world is kind of set up or not set up for someone with a disability, and we learned at another level very quickly. When I came home from acute PT or acute rehab, that the accessibility factor is big. So I mean, we learned it right away when I was in a wheelchair. Okay, we would like to go out to a restaurant. Okay, who's got accessibility entrances? Who has a sign in their window that says they're accessible, but they're really not? So there are little things like that. So when we go out, it requires a lot of planning. Going to a concert, something like that. Do I need the wheelchair or can I walk in and sit? Where's the parking? How much accessible parking is there? How close are the restrooms? How close are the elevators to where we're sitting? What's the distance? So, I mean, for my situation, the distance and how long I'll need to walk and where I can sit, all those things really do come into play when we go somewhere. So it requires a little bit more planning, but we're still able to go out and do some fun things.
What was the last concert you went to?
I went to The Offspring and Jimmy Eat World and New Found Glory at the amphitheater.
That was a good show.
That was a big one for me because Jimmy Eat World was my last on my list of my top 5 that I had not seen live yet. So that was a big night for me. That was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Josh, congratulations on all the progress that you have made. You should feel proud, really.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. In closing, I think there would be one last question that I would have for you, and that's what you would like people to know or understand about you or others with similar experiences.
I mentioned the word earlier, and I'm really big on this. Empathy goes a long way, and having that be your default when you're out in the world, that's a huge thing. So I've had people tell me, close family members tell me that ever since Finn was diagnosed autistic and we've been around him, we now see the world very differently. We kind of see it through his eyes. And when we see somebody out in public who maybe they may be having a moment, they may be having a struggle, giving that person the benefit of the doubt goes a long way. And having empathy and having grace, really does go a long way. So I encourage folks when they're out in the world, just have that little bit of pause, have that little bit of moment of grace, and just make sure that uh, kind of think about it. What you think you may be seeing might not actually be what you're seeing. So just that little bit of empathy and grace, I think, goes a long way.
Thank you again for taking your time to share your story. Do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to share?
Oh, no, this was wonderful. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and thank you very much for having me on. I've watched all the episodes, and I'm excited. So thank you very much.
Thank you again for joining us. This is Enable the Disability Podcast. We are at Enable Podcast on social media. Please like, follow, and subscribe.
And please share this podcast with your family and friends so we can share with others with disabilities and different abilities.